Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. It's just me today. Just a very quick one, maybe half an hour tops. Got to go through an interview with you that happened on Sky Sports. I must have taken place yesterday, but it was uploaded this morning. I don't know if you've seen it already, but there's a couple of things that we can infer from that ahead of today's big game. At least if you still think there's anything to play for in the season, I hope you are all happy and healthy doing the things that you love with those that you love doing them with. Guys, please smash your like button for me on the way and hit the subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things that you love with those that you love doing them with. Guys, the Spurs Talk Show. Oh, I'm nervous. I haven't done one of these for ages. It starts right now. Lovely touch from him, though. Harry Kane, Lucas Moura, can you do something, please? Last chance, Matt Doherty! Oh, you shite! There could be from the dead to the don't fuck it up now, don't fuck it up. Go and win it! Let's go. Last chance! Stephen Bergwijn! Stephen Bergwijn's through! Win it, Stephen! Come on! Yes! He's won it! He's gonna win it! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh! We did it! Yo, check this out. It's me. I'm back. Super impromptu, guys. Super impromptu. I know. I owe you about 1,000 live streams. I'm sorry. I haven't been doing hardly any of them. But you know what? On what day was it? Thursday against Man United when the Irish Hotspurs stream collapsed at halftime or just before halftime and we had to pivot over here. It reminded me how much I miss that intro video primarily, because I get to see myself as a skinnier, healthier version of me that was only, I don't know, like a year ago. Unbelievable. This streaming game, this content creation game is not a good thing if you are someone who has the propensity to become a lazy git like I am. Used to go to the gym. Now I just sit on my computer talking football, taking my dog out. I hope you're all happy and healthy. You know what? The reason why I'm doing this morning, guys, is because I took Bugsy out, and some other dog jumped, brand new, fresh, clean on this morning. Some other dog decided to mud me, not for my football opinions, but just because he was in an excitable mood, having just jumped out of the river. I'm caked in mud, and then it threw me off my game when I was trying to record a video about this Harry Kane interview. And I think it's interesting. I do think it's interesting because I think that maybe we can infer a little bit. I don't know if you've seen it, but we are going to go through it anyway. Obviously today, guys, we have massive game. A massive game if you think that Tottenham are still fighting for Europa League. Some of you probably don't. Some of you think the writing's on the wall. It's inevitable we're going to finish outside Europe, 7th or 8th. And you know what? When teams like Brentford come back like they did yesterday against Forest, and Brighton just dispatch teams like Wolves 6-0. Was it 6-0? I think it was 6-0. Stopped counting after about 4. you know, you look at the teams around you guys. Look at this. Let's start with that, shall we? Let's start with, let me get this up. That's what she said. Hang on a minute. Let me stop sharing that one. And let's get the table up. Do me a favor, guys. Smash the like button for me. If you're just coming in, welcome. There's 80 of you in the stream already. That's insane, considering I literally put the notification out. Well, it's insane anyway, Sunday morning. But let me get the table up, right? Because one of the things that Harry Kane says in this interview is something that I think we should all be cognizant of anyway. And we're going to talk about the interview in just a second. But you've got to look at this at the top half of the table here. Let's presume. I'm not sure. Can you see that? Let me see if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. But let me get to my new, I'll try to do a new layout so I can get a little bit more involved in the picture. Before I get into it, let me say hello to a few people. Sorry, I forgot. How rude of me. Alan Sibley, good morning, mate. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Very good to see you, mate. Reece Jagger's in the house. Get Bugsy to bark if you're that nervous, Sean. I'm not nervous. It's just, I was just like, oh no, what do? I forgot what buttons to press and things. Perch is in the house. What's happening, Perchometer? Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. Stevie Fraser's in the house as well. Big up, Sean, mate. Happy game day for now. Yeah, 100%. Perchy saying smash the likes. Please, people do. Please smash the likes. Daniel Borden. Yes, Sean is back. I am back, and I promise I will do more of these. I actually want to announce I am going to be doing a weekly show. I haven't done one before. Everyone's got their regular slots. And I thought maybe I should have a regular slot. And so I put together a little WhatsApp group with people that I'd like to stream regularly with. And not everyone that I would like to be in there has been in there yet. So if you haven't been added, don't worry. You probably still will be. But I think we're going to do it Friday nights. But I don't know if Friday nights is the wrong night to do it because people are out getting drunk. I don't know. But we're going to figure it out. But it's coming at some point this week. There's going to be a debut show. And I think we're going to call it, I don't know, Shameless. I think we might call it Shameless, where people can just go off on their opinions and put their chest out and say whatever they want. Friday night lights, something like that. Stuart Chu's in the house. What's happening, Stu? Hi, Sean. This is a nice surprise seeing you doing a proper stream. Yeah. Yeah. Usually just me and the dog. Big up, Sean, says Phil. Big up, my man. Alan Sibley's, he's not seen the interview. We're going to get into that. Peter M's in the house as well, as is Faz Radfar. What's happening, buddy? Adam William Cahill's in the house. Tottenham Forever's in the house. What's happening, boys? Good to see you, Adam. Good to see you, Tottenham Forever. Do you think we will win today? I'll spend a little bit of time talking about that because I think that the stats say no, right? 2 wins in the entire Premier League history for Tottenham at Anfield, I think the stat is, and no wins in the last 12 years. If Liverpool play the way that Liverpool can play at home, if the crowd are behind them, then it could be a very long, painful afternoon and another one where you don't want to see us capitulate. I don't think we will capitulate. I think it will be a tighter game, but I think that probably we're going to very much struggle. However, unless my memory is deceiving me, and it often does, I do have recollections of the most recent, say, 3 or 4 attempts at Anfield where we've had lots of opportunities that we haven't taken. Harry Kane's penalty that was saved, he hit it down the throat of the keeper of Alisson. You know, Sonny hitting the bar, Bergwijn blazing over when we could have won it in the last minute. Loads and loads of those little moments. And against Anfield, against Liverpool, the way that the teams, they set up, the way that we usually set up with the counter-attack, it usually suits us well if we can defend well, if we can defend like beavers with organised, composed, error-free defending, then it's a tough job to keep them out. But then when we do break down the transition and go on the counter, you have to take advantage of the opportunities. And on that basis, I think you have to have obviously Sonny playing because he's back in form and he suits the model anyway. Harry Kane, of course. But the third choice for me, guys, I think there's a proper shout here to play Dan Juma. And the reason why is the goals per minute. Like, we haven't seen very many minutes from him, but he's got a couple of goals. I think his goals per minute is like 1 every 58 minutes in play or 40 minutes in play or something crazy. And you compare that to Richarlison that hasn't scored a goal in the Premier League this season, only scored in 1 game, 2 against Marseille, I think it was. You look at Decky, who doesn't look like he's got that confidence to take someone on. And when you've got Robertson, who I think is a right-footed left wing back, he's going to want to show Decky on the inside, which Decky is always going to do anyway because he hasn't got the confidence to take people down the byline because of his hamstring injury. For me, I think that you can make the argument and play Sonny on the right, Danjuma on the left. I don't think we're going to see it. I think you're going to see Decky back in or Richarlison again. But if you were if you saw a brave version of Ryan Mason, I think that that makes more sense. For the back line, depending on who's injured and who's not, if Longley and Davies are both fully fit, then for me, I think that you have to play Ben Davies at left wing back and Longley at left-sided centre back, because I'm terrified of the prospect of seeing Mo Salah just dance around Longley and Perisic all afternoon down our left, down their right. So I'd like to see a more defensive unit that can kind of try and put him in his pocket. It might have been a good day for a Ryan Sessegnon had he been fit to be able to do something like he did last season. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one. And, for me, you have to play Porro on the right. Obviously, we haven't got another choice there. And on that basis, is Darwin Núñez going to have, if he's going to play, is he going to have a lot of aerial, access over the little guy, Pedro Porro, who, as much as I love the guy, defensively, he's shown us absolutely zero to be confident about in aerial duels or even on ground duels and being ran at. So it's going to be a big afternoon for Romero. Need to see something more from him. More like what we saw against Manchester United, less of what we saw against Newcastle. But I don't know. Liverpool they got options, right? They can either throw it down the right and let Salah attack, or they can lump it long if they wanted to and aim it towards Núñez. And he might have a lot of success as well. So it's going to be a tough, frustrating game, guys. I wouldn't expect anything more than about 30% possession if we do well. And the point I was making, the reason why I've got the table up is because Harry Kane makes the point in the interview, which we're going to go through in a second, and says, that there's no easy games anymore, right? And if you look, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. All the way down, let's presume that next season Chelsea are back in it. Let's put them ahead of Fulham. Chelsea, Brentford, Brighton, Liverpool, Villa, Tottenham, Manchester United, Newcastle United, Man City, and Arsenal. There is literally any one of those teams can beat any one of the other 9 teams in that top half of the table on their day. You've even got teams now like Crystal Palace that look resolute, especially at home under Roy Hodgson. Wolverhampton Wanderers are a match for anybody at home on their day when they want to play for it. It's only really down here. Like, it used to be that there was 4 big teams and everybody else was kind of scruffy. Now, anyone can beat anyone anyway. But really, the entire top half of the table has become the margins between, maybe you put Manchester City out on their own and this season's version of Arsenal, fair enough. But everybody else, from 3rd to 10th, the margins are so thin and so fine that Tottenham need to improve, need to do better things with their recruitment, need to have more stability, organisation, disciplined decision-making from top to bottom. And Harry Kane goes into that in this interview, which we're going to go through right now, guys. But what I want to put out there, I want you guys to interact with me as I'm going through it. Do you get the vibe from this interview? I'm asking you now, do you get the vibe from this interview that Harry Kane might just be staying at or thinking about staying? Because there's a lot of we's. We need to be doing this more. We need to be, working towards certain better objectives, better goals, less mistakes. And I don't think he's talking about this season. I think he's talking about the club generally. And to me, there's a very stark difference there between the sort of noises that were coming out of, say, Antonio Conte's head, his face, his mouth, when he was in the tail end of his tenure a couple of months back. There was a lot of yous and theys versus Harry Kane, which is very much a we. So for me, I feel like there's quite a lot. It's definitely it's quite damning what he says, right? There's a lot of like reasons to go, okay, well, let's figure out what does he mean here. But the undertone behind it, I think, is quite positive for Tottenham fans if you want to believe that he might be staying at Tottenham. Just before we get going, let me see if there's anyone else I've got to say hello to that I haven't said hello to yet. Peter Rem's in the house. Draw be a great result. 24Z's here. Hello, mates. Good to see you. Ready to get smoked today? Yeah, like my pulled pork on the barbecue. Yeah, not one since 2011. 12 years exactly, mate. Yeah. Danjuma, 24Z wants to see Danjuma. Dale Hutchinson's in the house. What's happening, Dale boy? Good to see you. Robertson's left-footed, is he? Fair enough. Sorry, my bad. Not my bad. BK Aviation. our defense cannot be clowns. Our defense cannot be clowns. We have to be strong in midfield and defense, as that's where we usually fumble 100%. But we also need to take advantage of the opportunities because we're not going to get that many. And yeah, sorry guys, it's just my idiocracy talking. What's happening, Crash? Good to see you, mate. Haven't seen you for ages, buddy. Haven't done any of these things for ages. Reece Jack is in the house. I'd say that Porro would fancy taking on Robertson. He definitely takes on fullbacks on the outside. Nice. Yeah, good insight, mate. Davies is back. Good stuff. And Longley played last week for 90 minutes. He did indeed. So we hope that's good. Bald Bean Counters in the house. I like that name. With you know who in the image. Good to see you. Sean, look at the comments. Yep. Yeah. I'm looking at it now. BK Aviation is saying against Newcastle, we just lost in the midfield and defence. We can't blame it on Hugo as he's literally exposed literally every game. Yeah, he still needs to do his job though, mate. And I think he got beaten far too easily into the bottom corners. He reckons 5-1, does Derek? Gee whiz. Who else we got? Ethelston. We should have 4-1, 4-4-2. We've seen him. Conte arrived. We don't have all the players needed for a fancy 3-4-3. Look at Dyer, the hologram the other night. You know what? I actually didn't. Look, I know Derek Dyer's the worst centre back. I think that Tottenham have seen for over a decade with this version of him this season. However, against Man United, that goal that he was left 1-on-1 for against Rashford, I don't think that he could have done or should have been expected to do much better. There's a consequence for playing a higher line. You take that vulnerability, you have that risk, and he's not ever going to be able to compete with Rashford on pace or trickery. And I think he was left with no choice but to back off a little bit, try and slow down the approach, the pace at which Rashford was running with the ball, and try and give time for one of the other defenders to get back. But the gap between the other defenders, Romero was caught way up the pitch, as was Longley. So he always gets the brunt, the short end of the stick or whatever, and I understand it. I'm not defending him generally as a defender, but in that moment, I'm not entirely sure what else he could have done apart from try and time a step in jab. But I would have thought he would have been breezed past anyway. So that's just my take on it. Tusher's in the house. He'll come to Man United next season. Oh, listen, I'm not so sure, mate. I'm not so sure. Derek says he's staying. Reese, let me see who I said hello to. Catman Jess is saying he says he will stay as well. Shushja is saying you thought we'd get battered by Man United. No, I didn't. I said 2-2. I said 2-2. I called it right on the We Are Tottenham TV pump-up show and on Never a Foul. I said 2-2. I absolutely nailed it. In the words of expressions, we're going to get fists up. Brian Gibbons. No, he was awful. All right, fair enough. Opinions are opinions. I'm saying in that particular moment, by the way, just not in the overall game. In that particular moment, I didn't think he could have done much differently. Anyway, good to see you all. Good to see you all. Let's walk through this, right? So here am I. Let's get it going. Let me go. So Harry Kane exclusive. Tottenham have lost some of the values we had under Mauricio Pochettino. Tottenham striker Harry Kane reflect on a tough season for Spurs and amidst the club have lost some of their values over the last few years. Harry Kane has admitted to have lost some of the values which made them so competitive under former head coach Pochettino. In an exclusive interview with Sky Sports' Pat Davison, Tottenham have endured a turbulent month, which has seen them lose head coach Antonio Conte, football director Paratici, and acting head coach Stellini, who was let go after last Sunday's harrowing 6-1 thrashing at Newcastle. Spurs, whose wait for a trophy will now go into a 16th year, failed to win any silverware under Poch, but were among the top performing teams in the Premier League under the Argentine, failing to finish in the top 4 in just one of his 5 seasons and reached the club's first Champions League final in 2019. Daniel Levy turned to serial winners Mourinho and Conte to end Spurs' trophyless run, but now finds himself facing intense calls from fans to stand down with the top 4 now seemingly out of reach, the club in disarray, and Pochettino expected to take over at rivals Chelsea in the summer. Ahead of Spurs, I don't know why. What has that got to do with Tottenham being in disarray? Why is Pochettino like? You can only hire one manager, and if we've got other ambitions, how does that pile on to Daniel Levy? I don't understand it. Ahead of Sunday's tough return to action, live on Sky Sports, Spurs record scorer Kane reflects on a tough season So let's go through it. Is there a little pride restored after that draw with Man United? I think so, said Kane. After the Newcastle game and going 2-0 down at halftime, it could have been easy to fold in the second half of the Man United game. We did the opposite. We came out fighting with desire and passion and a hunger to turn things around. In football, many things can happen, but we showed that we are together and we're a team. I think Ryan Mason's done really great in a short space of time to get us feeling that way. And yeah, it was good. Of course, a draw is never what you're setting out to do. You're setting out to win. But when you look at the circumstances, it was a good, hard-earned point in the end. Fair enough. Reasonable. Have you had a hard period? This isn't the bit I'm really interested in. It's the stuff a little bit later on. Have you had a harder period in football? I don't know. There's been lots of ups and downs in my career, but it was tough. You know, to be 5-0 down in 20 minutes into a game is, what are you thinking when that happens? It's one of the worst I felt on the pitch in that moment. All you can do is keep fighting and trying to find a way to improve. I think leading up to the Man United game, people can talk about a lot of things like tactics, formations, and how we're going to play. But ultimately, it comes down to just having a bit of fight and character. This season's been a tough battle for a lot of teams. It hasn't been easy, and we find ourselves in a position where it's not the end of the world. We still have European football to fight for. You have to try and forget that as quick as possible. You have to try and forget that, as in the Newcastle game, as quick as possible. We know that game in general wasn't good enough, and a lot of games this season haven't been quite good enough. But we've had some good moments as well, so we're trying to take positives from that. Now we're going to another game away at Anfield, which will be really tough and one we have to be ready for. So first, before I go on, there's 180 of you or something similar in the watching the stream, guys. If you haven't already, welcome. Please smash the like button for me. Really appreciate just smashing up those likes if you could do me that favor. So yeah, this the first part about it is the first kind of interesting thing is I think leading up to the Man United game, people can talk a lot about a lot of things like tactics, formations, and how we're going to play. But ultimately, it comes down to having a bit of fight and character. Is that in defense of Conte in your mind, guys? Is that in defense of the accusations, the criticisms that have been coming from Tottenham fans, from the media, who are saying, you know, like Conte's not liked by Tottenham fans because he's too defensive, too stubborn, blah, 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 blah. And maybe Harry Kane is sitting there saying, doesn't come down to that stuff. Not when it was Conte, not when it was Stellini. When you lose the game 5-0 for 6-1 rather, 5-0 down in 20 minutes, it's not about any of the formations. It's about the fight within the players and the confidence. And I think that it's very clear and obvious to me that within 30 seconds of that game being set up, like I thought it was he's saying it's nothing to do with the formations. It came across to me, and I spoke about it quite often over the last couple of days. It was very clear to me that they didn't have a clue how to organize themselves for a back four. And I thought it was very clear that they hadn't trained for it particularly. I did a video about it, you know, on the couple of days ago on the Tottenham walk. I said, you know, there was rumors and accusations flying around all the way through the season that Tottenham players were bored and like fed up with the repetitiveness of the training of the same system all the time, and that there was no flexibility and no like dynamism to the thought processes of Conte and the coaching staff. It was rinse and repeat the same thing, which left us predictable. And when you're forced to go to a back four because of injuries, not that was the right time under duress, we had to go to a back four. You wouldn't ideally go to a back four if you played Perisic and Porro, because they're the only two recognised wing backs. But naturally, even if there was the fully fit squad, I still don't necessarily concur with the idea that they looked like they were prepared to play a back four anyway. So, but he's saying nothing to do with that. He's saying it's just about the fight and the character. I mean, let me know your thoughts. I mean, he knows better than I do. Maybe he's just kind of, I don't know, trying to give it a different feel. I still think that the tactics looked like there was lack of organisation and confidence in the preparedness. But anyway, so we move on to the next bit, and we're getting into the juicy stuff here. He says, when something like that happens, there's not too much you can say. Everyone knows they let themselves down at that moment. Ultimately, once something like that happens, you just need to get back out there and put that stuff to bed. We spoke among each other and had chats about how we could improve. And then Ryan, being head coach, helped change the dynamic and the feel a little. But ultimately, it was down to us players to go out on the Thursday and show a bit of pride. And I think we have done that. Now, that's interesting, right? Because if you remember this week, Simon Jordan got absolutely annihilated on TalkSport when he said it had absolutely nothing to do with Ryan Mason. And Jim White and Martin Keown were like, that's so, like, you're so dismissive of Ryan Mason's impact. Of course it had something to do with it. And he's like, no, it didn't. It was the players not wanting to embarrass themselves again in front of their home fans. It was the players that didn't turn up at Newcastle. And it was the players that thought, well, I'm not going to face the anguish and the backfire, or the backlash rather, from the home fans in the second half. And he was like, it's nothing to do with Ryan Mason. And you could almost, like, I don't know, is he saying that here? We spoke among each other and had chats of what we could do. And Ryan, being the coach, has helped change the dynamic and the feel a little bit. But ultimately, it was all down to us. I don't know what he's saying there. Maybe he's saying that Ryan's coming in as kind of like, come on, guys, this is like, cheer up. Under Stellini, under Conte, it was all very heavy and dour. And maybe Ryan's like come in and lifted the mood. But ultimately, the performance in the second half was all down to the players, according to Harry Kane, or at least in the most part. From now until the end of the season, there's not too much to say. We're in a fight and we're in a battle and we're in the position that we're in, and we have to deal with that. If we can come away from this season with top 4 or some good European football, then we can accept it and prepare for the next season. Listen, mate, forget about top 4. I mean, keep fighting as if you're still in the battle. Well up for that. But the expectation, I think, needs to pivot a little bit from there now. Here we go. So what would the tone, this is where it starts to get interesting. What were the tone of those meetings with the chairman and the players like? It was just to understand the situation and what can give us the best opportunity to finish the season in a strong way. As a club, there's been some stuff going on that if we want to improve, we have to be open and honest about. Now, is he talking about Paratici? Is he talking about what Conte said? And that maybe, is that what he's saying, open and honest? Like, actually, guys, you know what? He had a point. We are bottle jobs. We don't have the psychological mindset. Maybe he's having a crack at Daniel Levy for the disruption and the disorganized distractions that are going on at the top end of the pitch or top end of the club. If so, like, I don't really understand how that is a justification for not turning up at Newcastle. Like, as much as like, you know, I've worked in organizations doing my job where there's been turmoil going on at the top, lots of changes, lots of, like, you know, acrimonious departures and exits and just a little bit of lack of direction, and you're aware of it. But ultimately, like, it shouldn't stop you doing your job. If your job is to pick up the phone and sell something or to do something, whatever it is, then, you know, I don't think it's an excuse to say that if he's talking about Paratici and all of that stuff, I don't think that has any real bearing on the day-to-day of the players. Obviously, with the decision-making around Conte exit and putting Stellini in, that directly does involve the players, because who's coaching them and what's going on. But not sure. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments as we keep going. I am reading your comments because I've got them right next to the thing here. I'll bring them up when I finish the article and we'll go through it together. Those conversations are probably more towards the end of the season as a leadership group with the chairman and the coach. I feel like those conversations will happen towards the end about how we can improve. Ultimately, there was another conversation about how we can finish the season in a strong way. So I'm wondering again whether or not, so he's saying that there has been some conversations now, but there's more coming at the end of the season in June or May or whatever. You know, I'm wondering whether it was like, if the chairman's a part of it, are they throwing some mud towards the chairman saying, like, what's going on? You know, we need better. We need more clarity. We need stability at the top. And then Daniel Levy is going, oh, well, that's fine. But now, you know, let's talk about your performances too. How are we going to get the season finished in the strongest possible way? Interesting, open to interpretation. It was just open and honest, and we expressed how we felt. And ultimately, we are where we are now. We can't talk too much. And the only way we can show it is on the pitch. And we have 5 games to do that. How difficult as a season has it been? Asked Gavison. It's been tough. Before every season, you have targets as a team and you set out to achieve things, to win things. And over the course of the season, we've had some good moments. We've had some great results, but we haven't found the consistency that you need to be at the highest level. It's been difficult for many reasons. There's been many changes. And as a player, you try and adapt and you try to cope with those situations, but it's not been easy. If we can finish this season in a strong manner and with a bit of positivity, it goes a long way into July and pre-season where we can go from there. Now, again, this is the first intimation here. This is the part what I want to talk to you guys about. Goes a long way into July and pre-season where we can go from there. Not the club can go from there. No. Is Harry Kane, careful with his words? Is he just saying it? Has he been educated to say, make sure you don't expressly give away your cards, don't show your hand here? But if he's just in the middle of an interview, I don't know if you're naturally. I haven't watched the interview to see whether he was pausing and thinking about everything what he was saying. I'm just reading it rather than watching it. But if you have watched it, then let me know. Did it come across like he was trying to be careful with his words? Because if that's just a natural thing, and preseason where we can go from there, then it looks to me like his intentions are probably, or maybe we can infer a little bit that his intentions are more around staying at Tottenham. How do you think the club improves? You sound like you have a few ideas. They are conversations that need to be had towards the end of the season. I feel like we lost a bit of what the values are at this club over the last few years. It's about finding a way to get back on the same page again. And obviously, even with the fans as well. The fans were great on Thursday, getting behind us and being with us and Ryan and having that relationship. I'm not going to express it all here, but there are conversations that we're open to having because ultimately we all want to improve and get better. That goes from the top right through the club, and that's our aim. Again, loads to break down here, guys. Why is he saying with us and Ryan? Is Ryan not part of it? Is that just a natural way of saying, there's the team and then there's the coaches? Would he have said it if Conte was still in charge? Would he have separated Conte from the us? I don't know. Right? Maybe he's presuming, obviously, and like we all do, that Ryan's not going to be the manager. I have my fingers crossed that that's the case. But he's talking about the fans being great, getting behind us and being on. But he's not going to express everything here. Clearly, there's he's got a lot of strong feelings, but he wants to, get them out in the right manner. For me, you can in the picture here, you can see he's wearing the captain's armband because I guess this is after the Man United game. Hugo wasn't there. I think this is the sort of stuff that you should have been hearing from Hugo Lloris. Haven't heard anything from Hugo Lloris. None of these interviews like this from Hugo. Harry Kane is not the most vocal leader on the pitch, but I don't necessarily think you have to be the most vocal leader. You can lead by example. Presuming maybe that Pierre-Emile Højbjerg moves on in the summer. We'll talk about that another day. But let me know in the comments whether you think if Harry Kane does stay, one of the catalysts in giving him not just the statue, not just the big salary increase, and probably the promises and the guarantees that he's maybe referring to here. To me, I'm kind of reading between the lines and thinking some of the stuff that he's unhappy about, because there's more to it as we go through. In fact, let me pause on that point. When you've been here a long time, you're a Spurs boy. What do you mean by Spurs values? When you've been here this long, I've been here since I was 11 years old. You understand what the fans are like. You understand what the clubs are like. You've been through good moments with the club. I've been through not so good moments. Values are everyone wants to win and everyone wants to lift trophies. And that's ultimately our aim every year. But we're in a different situation to some of the clubs around us. And we have to accept that, but still find a way to improve and get better. We probably haven't been doing that in recent years. So ultimately, it's about getting back to competing right at the very top. And our squad has got enough talent to do that. Now, I'm not sure if let me know again. I am reading all of your comments, guys. When he says it's about getting back to the competing right at the top and our squad has got enough talent to do that, is he saying that this squad has got enough talent to do it? Or is he saying it's about getting back to a place where our squad has enough talent to do that? Because if he's saying the former version, then I disagree with him. If he's saying the latter version, that it's ultimately about getting back to the very top competing-wise and having a squad that's capable of doing that, and have enough talent, then I 100% agree with him. And maybe that's part and parcel of what he's talking about with these. I don't want to say it all right now. I'm not going to say it in this open forum, but there are conversations, and part of the conversations that he wants to have with the leadership committee and the owner at the end of the season is get to work in the transfer market. Because I know you can't compete with sugar daddies, but you can do better with what we're spending money on, Interesting. Ultimately, there's some things that may need to change. I think everyone is doing everything they can to try and achieve that. But when you look at the competition in the Premier League now, this is the point I was making about looking at the the table. The fine line between being one of the top clubs and 10th or 11th is very slim. And you have to make sure you're on it in every department, including player acquisition and talent ID. Are you talking about almost getting back to the Pochettino era? Do you find yourself thinking, what did we have then that we've lost over the last few years? Yeah, I think whenever you have a good moment as a team, I think we had 3 or 4 really good years and we were competing at the very top, and that was without spending loads of money. We had a really good mixture of young and experienced players. It's impossible in football to click your fingers and go back to the good times and say, let's go back to what it was, because every season and every situation is different. I completely agree with that. But I feel like there were some values at the time and some culture that really made us achieve the things we did. So maybe we've lost parts of that over the last few years, and it's about looking back at that and seeing the good things we can take from that and trying to implement that in the future. So let me ask you this, guys. What is he, when he talks about culture, is he talking about DNA? Is he talking about having a manager that plays a certain style of football? Is he talking about, because he's saying we didn't spend loads of money back then, but we had other things, other je ne sais quoi, whatever that X factor was. And there's, funny enough, there's a picture of the man who's going to Chelsea who might want to tempt him to go and join him there. I don't think Harry Kane would ever do that. But yeah, for me personally, I think he's talking more around the style of football. Like, Harry Kane's very adaptable. He says we all try and adapt. He's being asked to play a very different style of football than what he has been asked to play in the past, and he's still finding a way to be our top goal scorer. But I think what he's saying is like, let me do my job. Let me get back to this. Let other people do these things that you're asking of me. Let me get back to being in the box, fox in the box, putting the ball in the back of the net every game from different systems, better systems, more appropriate systems that will be in touch with the culture that we have lacked since Pochettino's gone. Next question. Where did I get to? And finally, he says, are there some mixed emotions for you? Because in terms of personal milestones, you've had an unbelievable year. You've achieved some childhood dreams. But in terms of the team, those trophies maybe seem as far away as ever. Or actually in football, are you never as far away as it seems? He says, that's true. You've seen over the years, teams can finish 5th or 6th in one year or even lower. And then the next year, they're competing at the top of the league. In football, things can be taken out of context and maybe a bit dramatized in moments. You're never as far away as you might think, but you still need to find a way to change those things to get back to the top. There's a lot to improve on if we really want to be competing at the highest level, especially with the teams around us strengthening and being as good as they are. I think that's it. Tottenham's last fixtures after today: Palace at home, Villa away, Brentford at home, Leeds away. Tough. Right. Lots to break down. I've given through kind of my thoughts on it. Let me run back and see where did we get to in the things. Big Boss Man saying, love you, Sean. Love you too, Big Boss Man. Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. Ethelston is saying Simon Jordan was talking bollocks the other night, saying the exact same on TalkSport. It was nothing to do with Ryan Mason. It was the players that were determined not to embarrass themselves again. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Normally, I'm in agreement with Simon Jordan on TalkSport, but the other night he was talking serious crap. The other night, well, Harry Kane seems to be saying something similar, though, right? So I don't know. People taking credit. To be fair, Simon Jordan did walk it back a little bit as the conversation went on. He got held accountable by people that called in, and by Jim White and by Martin Keown, and he kind of. It's unusual for Simon Jordan to walk back his opinions, but he did. He definitely diluted it by the end of the conversation. Perchy, no worries, mate. Listen, I'm not going to be going for too much longer. I've got another stream myself in 15 minutes or so, or 20 minutes. So I'll only be going for a little bit longer, mate. So appreciate it, buddy. But we'll do one again this week. What's Bugsy's breed? She's a Sprocker Spaniel, half Cocker Spaniel, half Springer Spaniel. The liveliest and the most stubborn of all the of all the Spaniels, and the Spaniels generally are the most stubborn of all of the breeds out there. Wayne Bonner's saying fans need to keep an eye on Cullen. She's a big problem. Yeah, I keep reading about this. I did a video about it as well. I think she's definitely got some ammunition on a little bit too much influence. She's only the PR girl. Well, that's what she used to be, and she currently is the head of PR, and also she's like an off-field kind of. She was involved in the architectural specifications for the stadium, but I don't really know what her day-to-day is apart from PR, and it does seem like she's got a little bit too much influence, Wayne. I agree with you, my man. What we got here? Mark Collins in the house. What's happening? Mark says, exactly what did we set out to win? Well, I guess he's saying, every year you try and win a trophy. But yeah, I agree with you, mate, that the performances in the Cups this year have been absolutely appalling. Unnecessary exits. The only maybe reflection now, with the benefit of hindsight, is to maybe say, when you look at AC Milan that have got through to the semi-final and are probably the favourites to beat Inter, that maybe it wasn't so, horrendous getting beaten by a team that have ended up sort of and going on a decent run as well. They're doing quite well in the league now. So maybe it wasn't as horrendous as it first thought, but I still think the performance at home in that game, we set up to, set the team up to try and defend a loss, So it wasn't particularly impressive from the motive, what were the motivations of the strategy, I guess. Jimi Hendrix is saying the club is going downhill if Kane leaves, Blaine leaving for the mess. Let me ask you guys, I'm going to get through some of these comments now. Do you think that, am I reading into it too much? Was there a little bit more was there something for us to kind of get hold of there and hope that he's talking about the future with Tottenham? There's a lot of wheeze, a lot of if he doesn't care, if he's checked out, if he wants to leave and go to Manchester United in the summer, then why does he want to have all these conversations at the end of the season with Daniel Levy and express the problems that the players feel that exists at the club and try and figure out a way to get back to winning times? If he is checked out and wants out either this summer, if he's allowed to go, or next summer on a free, why would he care about this thing? Half of that interview is talking about the problems that need to be resolved, rather than talking about, other accolades, other things like his Premier League goal scoring record. It's interesting as well that none of the questions that were asked by Davison asked him about his future. Maybe that was part of the rules of the interview. No questions about my future, no questions about my contract. Because you'd have thought if you get an exclusive interview with the hottest property on the market this summer, you'd be asking him more of that stuff. Let me know your thoughts. Donna Maria Cullen. Hey, Donna Maria Cullen, she's the woman who, you might have seen it on Twitter, who was caught saying, or lip syncing, saying this is shit. Q7, Sean, don't you remember Conte talking about the future? Kane saying preseason means nothing. Fair enough. Yeah, it's fair enough, mate. It's a take. Maybe I'm trying to find something to be more positive about, because I don't want to see Harry Kane leave. I know that Harry Kane has to leave at some point. There will be a day when Harry Kane has kicked his last ball for Tottenham. Whether that's in 3 months or 3 years or whatever, we don't know. But I'd rather the club be in a better position, more stable, with more organisation, better players, and an ethos and a DNA that we're working towards when that happens, rather than now. If he was to go now, I think that Tottenham next season would collapse and would quite easily be in a relegation battle if something similar was to occur, and then there'd just be a meltdown at the club. 24 saying he cares, but he can't say what he wants to say. Let's be real. True. I think that's about when I was asking about the version of the squad that are capable to compete. He knows what he's saying. Yeah, fair enough. Leaving a job after a long time is always very hard and doesn't always work out. Kane is no different to the rest of us in that respect. I also reckon he's rather settled at the club and domestically. Yeah, and look, for me personally, Pete, I think that there's an easy scenario that you could vision. He's not going to go to Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to give up the goal scoring record. I think that, to me personally, from an individual legacy point of view, is more important than winning a Carabao Cup at Manchester United or a Bundesliga or whatever it's called, a Dopal, DFK Dopal or whatever it's called in Germany. Because like I've said before, I think that this idea that the best players, to be the GOAT, to have your established legacy, you have to win trophies. That's just a media representation of a narrative to get all the best players playing for the best teams. And because 99.99% of the best players do always play for the best teams, that it's a fait accompli that they're going to have trophies. But actually, I think that you could say that Harry Kane's legacy is stronger if he breaks all the records that he breaks, whilst also playing for an also-ran club like Tottenham his entire career. How many more goals would he have scored had he had the likes of the Man City squad around him, or the Liverpool squad or the Arsenal squad or whatever of years gone by. Like, he probably will already have the record by now. He could have broken it before he turned 30 if he was playing for a different team. So, like, I think it should have no bearing on his individual legacy, whether or not he has a trophy to his name, because the only difference between him playing for Tottenham and Manchester United is not him becoming a better player. It's having better players playing around you. And if that's what it takes to be considered a legacy GOAT, then it's not about you. It's about the team. And, you could have a conversation of the greatest team of all time, but the greatest player should be based on what he achieves, not what the team achieves around them, in my opinion. But I know it's very easy to make the other argument because it's what the one the media represents. Richard Hutchison, hello mate, haven't seen you before. He says, hi, as salam alaikum, how are you? I'm good, mate. Diversity, multiculturalism, and culture is strength. No tribal racism and hate. Move out of the society. Smash the like buttons. Many thanks and much love. Much love, mate. Good message. Appreciate that. Please do smash the like button. 215 of you in the house. In terms of likes, 105. We could get another 100 likes, couldn't we, guys? We'd get another 50 at least. If you are watching this on a computer or on your phone where you have the ability to hit the like button, then please smash the like button for me. It's free to do. Absolutely free to do. I'm only going to go for another 5 minutes. I'm just going to cut through these things and see what's going on. Conte did say something about the lack of culture at the club. Maybe Kane agrees with that. 100% Lee. Yeah, the psychological barrier as well. I think he's making a point about culture connotes continuity. It's an interesting word. Connotes. Is that a new word? I haven't used that before. And stability, and that's been lacking 100%. Just tidying up and a few bits. Good boy, Moondog. Good to see you, mate. Good morning to you, Sava. Good morning, Del Boy. Kate Rickson. Hi, Sean and Bugsy. Is Bugsy okay? I think if Levy pulled his finger out, get a decent manager and some quality in, and I think Kane would stop. Bugsy is okay. She had an ear infection. I had to get her some antibiotics, but she's okay now. Mark Collins, Bentancur is deeply missed. 100% he is, mate. I think half of our season's been ruined because of injuries. I know injuries are never an excuse that you can make, but we have been harmed by a significant amount of devastatingly important injuries this season. Who's been our best midfielder this season, if any, Sean? Bentancur was our best midfielder by far. Morning, Shawnee. Morning, Steve. How you doing? Wayne Bonner, I put money on Cullen making a power play for Levy's job. God, oh, Jesus Christ. Don't want that to happen. Big Gibber. Good to see you, mate. Thoughts on Kane to Chelsea rumour? Personally, I think it's BS, but I'm not sure. I don't think he'd go there, mate. I really don't. Can you imagine if he went there and in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time, you go to Tottenham games and people sing, we're all having a party when Harry Kane dies, like they do about Sol Campbell. Remember, Sol Campbell was club captain. Sol Campbell was a hero at Tottenham. Sol Campbell was a boyhood hero. I know that Arsenal is slightly different to Chelsea, but I don't think it's that different. I think Chelsea, the rivalry between Tottenham and Chelsea is pretty brutal as well. So to me, I don't think Harry Kane wants that kind of wants to do that to his reputation. The temptation of going and playing with Poch might be a lot, but playing for him at Chelsea, I don't see it happening. And that is why, guys, I personally believe that not only do I read in this, and maybe I am reading between the lines, getting 2 and 2 and getting 5. Fair enough if you think that, but I also could see a situation where Man United is probably the only likely club that he could go to that wouldn't have all of the kind of fallout from it on a personal level for Harry Kane. But Daniel Levy doesn't want to lose him. And I think Daniel Levy will know that and will ask a ridiculous amount of money from Manchester United. I've said before, I think that the sweet spot is probably like 80 million quid, anything less than that. And it's probably worth holding on to Harry Kane, making him play out his last season, because his goals will give us a better chance of, finishing in the top 5, which is Champions League level, drops to 5 next season. And if you get into the Champions League, you're going to earn 65, 70 million anyway. And we won't do it if we don't have Harry Kane. So it's worth taking the gamble. But I think that Daniel Levy will ask for more than 100 million quid. And I don't think Man United will do anything like that, even if they have the new owners in. If they don't have the new owners in, if something falls apart with both of those because the Glazers are getting greedy again, which it looks like they are, then definitely no Harry Kane bid for 100 million quid plus. But if even in the world where the Qataris get in, I don't necessarily think that they'll spend 100 million quid on Harry Kane. Maybe, maybe not. But if they don't, then Man United will turn their attentions to someone else. They'll go and get the fella from Juventus, who Arsenal were after last season. Juventus are financially, on their knees. I forget his name off the top of my head. Let me know in the comments. If they don't get him, they might go after Osimhen. And in any event, they'll be more likely to go and spend 100 or 80 million quid on one of those types of players. And then Harry Kane's forced to stay here. But then next summer, where's he go? He still wouldn't go to Chelsea, still wouldn't go to Arsenal. Man United don't need him. Man City don't need him. And Liverpool probably don't need him. At that point, is he really going to go to Newcastle? Is he really going to go to anywhere else in the Premier League? No, and he won't have got his Premier League record by the end of next season. So is he going to go abroad and sacrifice his Premier League record? I don't think so. And so on that basis, I think that under duress, by hook or by crook, Harry Kane may just commit his future to Tottenham because there's nowhere else. Tina, there is no alternative. Tina. Let me see, where did we get to? I'm going to jump ahead because we moved away from this thing now. Kate saying, think he loves the club. He's having a baby. Needs to step up with the money, get some quality. If not, should sell the club. And that's about Daniel Levy. Wasn't Højbjerg good in the start of the season? Why do some fans overlook that performance? Of course, he is awful now after Bentancur is injured. I don't overlook Højbjerg. I think Højbjerg is a very competent, good midfielder. And I think he's got an absolute engine on him. The guy can play every single game, and it's no question that, losing out on Bentancur, his partner, has obviously hindered his ability to do what he would normally do. And also playing every minute is, fair play to him. But I think that if Tottenham want to progress, we need to go and get a monster number 6, like Emmanuel Ugarte, although it looks like Liverpool might be stealing a march on us there. And if not him, maybe we could go and get the Fulham player, Palinha, who also came from Sporting, by the way. Sporting have got an absolutely incredible youth system. It's just mind-boggling. And I've got a guy who is an English-speaking Portuguese ex-Sporting Lisbon youth coach, believe it or not, who now works for BT Openreach, who came round to fix my internet. And I was talking to him for about an hour about Sporting and the insights he gave me. And I'm going to have him on the channel, I think, in a week or two's time, maybe in the summer. But anyway, I think you need to get Palinha or someone like them, maybe even the fella from Wolves, Neves, like somebody who can come in and play a monster number 6 role, and then allow the rest of the formation in the midfield to go about it. And if you're going to bring someone else in, you have to get rid of one of the plethora of other makeshift number 8s that we've got. You can't really have room for Bentancur, Højbjerg, Skippy, Sarr, and Bissouma. One of them has to go, and I think it probably would be Højbjerg. I think you could get some money back for him. Not to say I don't like the guy at all, though. I think he's a brilliant player, brilliant professional, I should say. Do I think Scott Munn's appointment has something to do with the AIA partnerships? No, I don't think so. I don't believe so, no. I think the AIA partnership, I believe, is over in 18 months or 2 years. Wouldn't have thought it's got anything to do with it. I think that's just a geographical coincidence. AIA is a Hong Kong-based company, isn't it? Anyway. Where are we getting to? Guy, what time is it? 12 o'clock. Okay, I've got 5 more minutes. Vlahovic, that's the guy. Vlahovic. Yeah, maybe Man United might go after him. And look, if Tottenham do end up losing Harry Kane, I'd go and get him in a heartbeat. I think he's awesome. I think he's absolutely awesome. He will go to Real Madrid, who can pay 80 million. Harry Kane is not going to Chelsea. No UEFA Champions League. Harry Kane wants to play in Champions League. Billy C saying, morning, Sean. Really enjoy your regular Spurs dog walking content. Thanks, mate. You have a very balanced view, opinion on all things Tottenham. Appreciate that. Thank you. It's greatly appreciated. Nope, you're appreciated the same, my man. You have to factor Katie into the equation. Would she want to move her family up to the north? I doubt it. Is that Katie Kane? Yeah. It's a good point. Like I say, for me, I think it's pointing towards Harry Kane staying. And listen, I take the point. I don't think most of you are in agreement with me that you can read into some things here, read between the lines. Most of you are saying it's just media spin, media talk, and he's saying all the things that he would be expected to say. I get it. Maybe I'm just, making a mountain out of a molehill, but interesting interview. Very interesting. Who's this? Ellen Sundella Watts. Haven't seen you before. Good to see you, Elan. Levy would most likely run Kane's contract down. His goals are worth more to us. Exactly. Kane is also all profit being a Spurs boy. Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Get Frank Kessie. Yeah, another player. We could have got him. Exactly. We need a monster six. Whoever you put, whether you have Udogie and Porro at, I mean, listen, I don't like the idea of playing a back four with Porro at the moment. He has not shown me. I love Pedro Porro, by the way. I love him, but I worry about his defensive frailties. Don't know what to expect from Udogie. But in a world where you do want to do that, and you play Romero, and you get, let's go. Even if you go and get, who's that guy? By the way, guys, I'm going to do a video on this guy. The guy from Lyon, the defender. What's his name? I did a Castello Lucaba, right? So I hear that Tottenham scouts were sent to Lyon to watch the Lyon game this week. And it was clear that they were going to look at this guy, Castello Lucaba, who is a left-footed centre-back French guy. He is awesome. He's 20 years old. He is so good. His ability to step up and to anticipate where the ball was going to be, he gets it right. Even if he times it slightly wrong, he then hounds the player until he goes and dispossesses him. He's great in the air. He's got an amazing range of long passes. He can chip in with goals with the head himself. He is, for me, like straight away elevated to like maybe second or third in my line of my favorite, like of my top choice left-sided centre-backs. We need a left-footed, left-sided centre-back next season to go alongside Romero, or even to play in a back three if that's what the chooses to happen. And obviously, you know, we've got Piero Hincapié. He's a big. You've got Clement Indica from Frankfurt. You've still got the guy from Villarreal that's knocking around. I think we can write off Bastoni, but go and check out. Go and look at. I mean, highlight reels will only show you the good stuff, so you won't see anything bad in it. But go and check out Castello Lucaba. I use Y-Scout, the tool which shows you everything. You can see his good, his bad, his ugly. You can zone and zoom in on any particular thing. I think this kid is going to be ridiculously good, ridiculously so fast as well, which is something we need if you want to play a high line. So I'm massively into him. But my point was, if you do go and have a back four with whoever you play next to Romero, you need to have a monster number six. And whether it's Frank Kessie, whether it's Polinia, whether it's Ugarte, whether it's Neves, whoever, you know, whoever it is, I wouldn't even mind going and getting Calvin Phillips from Manchester City. I know he barely plays for City, but I don't know if they do any business with us. But I think he'd be a really good player as well to fit in there. 1 second, guys. Just got to check something. Hang on a minute. Yeah, yes, I can, Kaz. I'll redirect everybody over. I'm finishing in 10 minutes though. I don't know how to. I'll do it in the edit and customization. Okay. So the just bear with me 2 seconds, guys. Bear with me 2 seconds. Redirect to. About a foul. Bear with me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. Sorry about this. Yeah, for me, I think absolutely the key for our season next season. I hate being able to can't multitask. Any females would be far better at doing this. Here we go. This is what I need. Right, guys, at the end of this video, we're going to stop in a second. There is another video I want you to go and check out. I'll be over there in a second as well. Never a Foul. They do the Premier League preview, the Sunday preview. And it is always a good fun show. Lots of banter. So if you are interested in carrying on the Tottenham content, then you'll be able to do that. So when I end this stream, you will see that pop up. Manor Solomon from Fulham is a good player as well. He's a brilliant player, Solomon. Love him. Not sure where he'd fit into Tottenham, but absolutely spectacular. Kate Ricks was saying still he was the same as Conte, so they are not going to play well. Need some mentality day to day. 100%. Aussie 12. Porro Riddle is simple. Winger rotation for Kulu if you keep them both. Yeah, 100%. So what do we do there? So if you are going to play a back four, you put Porro on like a 4-2-3-1 or something like that. You rotate Porro with Kulusevski. 100% agree with you there, Aussie. The problem is then, what do you do if you are playing a back four as your preferred formation and Emerson gets injured? Do you go and get another right back? Or is that for Jed Spence? Is that Jed Spence's role? Do we know is he capable? Has he really done anything in France that, is he developed enough? Everyone was complaining about his lack of game time, but Conte was definitely right about that. If you've seen his performances in France, he's had moments of magic, but a lot of things to consider suspect, especially defensively. Where are we in the hunt for Nagelsmann? Don't know, mate. As far as I'm aware, I was told by another channel who have their sources, the boys at We Are Tottenham TV. They said that the other day they'd heard from their source that Scott Munn was in Germany again for the second time in 2 weeks, the last couple of days. So if that's true, then Laporte as well. Laporte, yeah, 100%. We could get him. If we could get him, we immediately improve. If that's true, then Nitin, I would imagine that Tottenham then are probably trying to convince him to come over. But like I say, I think that Harry Kane's interview, it suggests to me that he's got demands that I'm reading into it again. I think that it looks to me like he's got demands on the club. He wants to know, are you going to take this seriously? Are we all going to be wasting our time here at Tottenham just all Sorry, everybody. Sorry. No, I'm still back. I'm back. Let me know if you can hear me. My internet's just collapsed, so I'm just trying to jump onto the. Can you hear me? Am I still here with you? Hello? Can you guys still see me? Am I still here? Yeah, you still got me. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Listen, it's a perfect time, guys. I got to jump anyway. Sorry. I should have just cut it off, to be honest. But I wanted to say goodbye to you. I wanted to say goodbye. Guys, listen, we are going to leave it there. Sorry, the internet's decided it was time to go. The internet decided it was time to go. There's 150 of you that hung around trying to wait for me to come back. I've got to jump across now to another stream that is starting. I think it's starting now or in a few minutes' time. Check it out. Never a Foul. It's a really good channel. We talk about all different teams over there. It's a community, like a top 6 channel. But today I'll be on there in 10 minutes. So get over there and smash a like. Do drop a comment if you haven't already after the video. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Appreciate you all for hanging around. Please smash a like on the way out. Smash a subscribe if you haven't. We're close to 7K. I love you all, guys. And I will wish you and Tottenham a spectacular afternoon. Before I go, I want to say my team is Fraser Foster. I want Romero. I need to see Dyer. I don't need to see him. I have to see him. Romero, Dyer, and Longley. I want to see Ben Davies at left wing back. I want to see Porra at right wing back. I want to see Højbjerg. I want to see Skippy. And I want to see a front three of Danjuma, Harry Kane, and Sonny. Sonny on the right. And then if not that, then go back to Decky. I don't want to see Richarlison. Go back to Decky on the right. But then at 55 minutes, if we're still in the game, then get Danjuma on the pitch, see if he can nick us a goal, because you need a guy who can take his opportunities when you're playing at Anfield. Good luck to the team. Good luck to everyone. Let me get the link for you all, just so that you can see it. Oh, they're live right now, actually. So jump over and see it. I'm going to be joining them in a minute. Here you go, guys. There's the link for Never a Foul. And I will see you later on the Irish Hotspur. See you on the Irish Hotspur about 4 o'clock. Take care, guys.